Understanding Biblical Paradoxes, a guide to scripture interpretation. Imagine trying to understand a puzzle that seems to have pieces that don't quite fit together at first glance. That's what biblical paradoxes can feel like when you first encounter them. These are statements in scripture that seem to contradict each other but actually reveal deeper truths when you look closer. They are not mistakes or errors but intentional parts of God's way of communicating. They challenge us to think beyond simple logic and explore the spiritual meanings behind the words. These paradoxes appear in both the Old and New Testaments and serve to deepen our understanding of God's character and his plans. For example, the idea that Jesus is both fully God and fully human can seem confusing, but it shows how God chose to reveal himself in a way that combines divine power with human experience. Another example is the paradox of strength in weakness, where Paul writes that God's power is made perfect in weakness. This teaches us that true strength often comes through humility and dependence on God. When interpreting these paradoxes, it's important to recognize that they often use symbolic or figurative language to express truths that go beyond what our human minds can fully grasp. Instead of trying to force a literal explanation, we should consider the broader biblical context and the cultural background of the times when these words were written. Paradoxes help us see that God's ways are different from human ways, and they invite us to trust his wisdom even when things don't seem to make sense right away. When studying scripture, pause when you encounter a paradox and ask what spiritual truth it might be pointing to. Comparing related verses can help clarify the meaning and show how these paradoxes fit into the overall message of the Bible. Applying these teachings in daily life means embracing humility, trusting God's plan, and understanding that sometimes God's ways are not immediately clear. Discussing paradoxes with others can also open up new perspectives and deepen your faith. Remember, these paradoxes are meant to challenge us and lead us to a greater appreciation of God's divine nature. They reminded us that faith often involves accepting what we cannot fully understand with our minds alone. By approaching Scripture with this mindset, we can grow in trust and find encouragement in the truths that seem paradoxical at first but are truly life-giving.